If you remember Keep Up the Balloon, like you remember when you had birthdays, you had like a Christmas, all those celebrations and all the balloons come around and float down. And I remember when I was younger, I used to try and just knock them and try and knock them, like make them not hit the floor.
What in your childhood compares to volleyball?
What in my childhood compares to volleyball? Well, in volleyball, it is basically try and keep the ball up and try and put it to the other side. And if it drops, it's a point to the other team. So I remember when I first started, I realised it's exactly the same thing, just more extreme version. And I just love the comparison. So it's like all those childhood times you get to play it while you're playing volleyball. And that's what reminds me the most.
What influence did the monks have on your early sporting career?
They lived in my area and they had like a homeless shelter there, like with a friary, and they used to help out those that were homeless. But they also used to give like food donations to the families that needed it in the area, and I was part of those families. Now, the good thing is, because these monks are from the Bronx in America, they love to play basketball. So what they did is, at the back of the shelter, they put concrete on the floor, they put 2 basketball posts up, and they let the kids in the area play anytime we wanted. And that's how I got into playing basketball. I was just there, just taking shots, taking on the monks.
What are your connections with Milton Keynes?
My connections to Milton Keynes, when I was really young, my cousins used to live up here, and I used to see them a lot. And I really didn't know that it was Milton Keynes. You know, when you're so young, you don't know where you're traveling to. And I grew up in East London. I've lived in like Sheffield, Germany, Tenerife, Newcastle, and then went back to London after the lockdown. And then I thought, why not MK? So I came back here and I started working with the community. I started working with the community foundation, as well as setting up my groups, helping children, keeping active and healthy. So for me, it's like full circle, much like the monks that helped me out. I want to help out the children of MK to be active and healthy too.
What are the main challenges you've faced throughout your basketball and volleyball career, and how do you overcome them?
The main challenges I guess I had in basketball was, believe it or not, I was short at one point, and then I was like 6'5" at like 13, 14. But being that tall, that young, I was then playing with older players. So they would just bully me around left and right. So that was one of the hardest challenges I had to face with basketball. But it taught you how to play, taught you how to get past and get to score. And then when I changed over to volleyball, in basketball, you jump a lot off one foot. If you do that in volleyball, you're gonna probably break someone's legs. So they didn't allow me on the court. So what I had to do was just play against the wall by myself until I got the technique of jumping off 2 feet straight up. So there were the biggest challenges, making that crossover, even though you've got skills that can go over as well.
Can you tell us about your experience of being scouted, going to university and animation?
The whole thing of like animation and sports, ever since I was 10 and I started playing basketball, I love to draw, and I love like anime and manga, and my big dream was to create my own. But being so tall, so young, they got me into sports. So it was kind of hard to know which path I wanted to go down and which one to like focus on. So I thought, let me try and combine them both. So at university, I was studying animation, but at the same time, I was trying to get into the GB squad. And getting into there was tough. I mean, not only did they not let me on the court yet, I had to wake up at 5:30 every single morning. I had to go to training for 2 hours, then go to uni for the whole day, then come back and train again for another 3 hours. So it was like 5 hours, 6 hours training while studying every single day. Then you train on a Saturday, and then you rest on Sunday. And then you gotta wake up and do that again. So that was like, yeah, huge combination.
You were very busy.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Good thing is, because animation's what I love and was my passion, I could do that in my spare time as well as studying it. So I never felt the pressure there. It was more like my release, while sports was pressure. But then I love to play sports. So I was doing things that I love doing, every single day.
How was your Olympic experience, and what was the highlight?
Wow, the Olympic experience for me was honestly almost like, imagine you've got a Christmas present and they're saying, this is the best thing that you've ever wanted, but you can't touch it until your 5th Christmas, and you got to wait for the 5th year. that day when you finally get to open up the ribbon, rip open that present, that's what it's like. You've waited for so long, you've trained every single day, you've gone through injury, you've gone through highlights, traveled the world, and now this is the moment, and it only lasts for 2 weeks. So if you imagine training 5 years for 2 weeks in that moment, and then games only last an hour. So you've done all of that, and you got to show what you've got. And I remember the third game, the coach said to me in the locker room, I'm going to start. And I thought, oh, sugar. This is my chance to start the game. And when we went into the tunnel, I'm standing there and I look to my left and I have to look up because these guys are tall. These are the best in the world. It's a different level. And the guy next to me, when I got injured and I couldn't even train, my coach said to me, at least work on what you can. So work on your head, know how the game is. So I used to watch a lot of videos of these athletes. And one of them was the best in the world. So I used to look at how we used to hear all of that to try and train. In that tunnel, that was who was next to me. So I couldn't believe that the guy that I've been watching all these years, I'm going up against him. And then when we started playing, he would hit the ball like, he'd take his signature shot to the left. But I'm such a fanboy, I was like, oh, he's taking his shot there, then I'll get it. So I ended that game top point scorer, but it was more like because I've watched that player for so long that I knew everything he did, and it was just an amazing game for me in front of like a stadium full of people. The sound is roaring, it's incredible. That was just incredible, and it was all at the 2012 games, you know, in the area that I grew up in East London.
What was the lowest point in your sporting career?
Just after one of my highest points. So I was around 18 and we flew all the way out to Serbia, and this was going to be my first cap to represent the country. When we were in the warm-up, my coach used to say to me, look, I want to see you want to play. So I jumped as high as I could, I hit the ball, I landed, and my coach said to me, jump higher. And I was like, cool. Come round, I jumped even higher, hit the ball, and my coach was like, show me you want to play. And I was like, cool. I came round again, and as I went to jump, I heard like a slight tick. I turned around to see where it came from. I put my foot on the ground, and that's where all the pain started rushing through my leg. Like underneath your foot, you've got a tissue muscle called like the plantar fascia, and it helps you run, spring, and jump. And as I was taking off, that muscle just snapped. Half of it pinged towards my heels and the other way to my toes. It was the worst pain I ever felt. I'm now sitting in the hospital, facing a doctor, and she said, I don't know when you're walking again, let alone training. So I left my hometown. I've been training for 6 hours a day, trying to study at the same time, left all my friends and family, and I blew my first chance to represent the country. That was one of the lowest points I've ever been, and it was at the start of my career.
What are you up to now?
After the Olympic Games and study at university, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Even though, you know, I had a dream of making my own animation, I had been training for so long and then been studying as well. So I thought, what do I love to do? What would I like to do? And I love working with children, I love animation, and I love sports. So I thought, is there a way to combine it all? And that's when I thought, why don't I? Why don't I make a cartoon, actually make something that can make children healthy and active? And that's when I came out with NutriTroops. And so it's like all the children go on different challenges, they get points from different challenges and games, and it just really brings to life something that when I was growing up, I wish I had that, because I used to watch loads of cartoons thinking, I wish I was them. So that's how I kind of do now in Milton Keynes in the area, and I've been doing it for the last 2 years.
What are your plans for the future, and what advice do you have for the next generation?
I want to continue working on NutriTroops and really just make it a cartoon that kids want to watch, that I want to watch as well. Make some comics, make some card games, but really teach them to be active and healthy in a cool environment as well. And I want to do it all across Milton Keynes. Imagine each area going up against each other, getting challenges and points, being active and healthy. Yeah, that's a big dream. And I guess advice for the future generation. I would say what my coach said to me. You know, whenever you ever hear yourself saying I can't, add that word yet. Because it's so easy to say I can't. I say it every day and then I go, oh, yet. And it just reminds me, keep working on it bit by bit and you do get better. So that's advice I'll definitely give.